So, the spiritual awakening which is occurring is because the world has everything in fact has two parts to it. Even God, in a way, has two parts. There's the inner and the outer. Everything we know about, I shouldn't say everything, but most of what people know about God is not God. It's the outer. If you look at the heavens and the stars and the miracles and the galaxies, that's just the outer. It says, Lav urcha de malka, I forget the exact line, but it's not the way of the king to speak about mili de hidyoita, which is simple words. In other words, the soul of someone, if I see you, do I know you? I don't know you. It takes years to know someone. And so to know the soul is to know them. In fact, the Hebrew word for knowledge is the same word in a way as marriage, das. Because if you don't know the person, you're not married to the person. And so when we get, basically it comes from low self-esteem, we become shamed. Everybody, studies have shown, has been bullied. What is being bullied? Is being shamed. And so you have two reactions. One is that it's not true, and the other is that it is true. And if it is true, the perception is, and it's the subconscious desire of the bully, perception is that I'm actually despised by humanity. And that creates what, I don't like using psychological terms because instead of helping people, they hurt people by labeling them. I'll use the term anyway. They call it narcissistic personality disorder, but really narcissistic personality disorder, the psychologist who invented the term, spoke about narcissistic wounding, which in real English that means I was shamed, and therefore I developed a kind of delusion that, no, I'm so great, I'm so wonderful, because it's a way nobody wants to walk around this world thinking that other people think of them in a negative way. You know, to be accepted by others is very, very important to us. We're social creatures. So the thing is, many of us were pursuing these fantasies of wealth or fame and power, whatever it is. And it's not really about the wealth, fame, and power. It's really about not being shamed. And we think, well, if I was wealthy and if I was powerful or if I was famous, well, people wouldn't shame me. See, it's really about not something we want, it's about something we don't want. And really, there are only two directions in life. There is a direction of the things that we want, and there's a direction of the things that we don't want. So, for example, with advertisements, you'll see advertisements that are about vacations. Okay, who doesn't want to go to a beach somewhere? But then there are other advertisements about investments, about life insurance. Who wants to pay for life insurance? But maybe something you need. So there are things you want and things you don't want. You make efforts toward things you want and efforts to prevent things that you don't want. And really that is the sum total of how we live our lives. It's that balance and which thing is more, which thing is less. And so the real question of life is not what we don't want, but what should we want? What is worth wanting? And so again, when you understand that life is made up of an inner and an outer, a person can only be happy when their outer reality, because we also have an inner and an outer heart. So there's multiple layers of inner and outer. But in our inner heart, we all are the same. We all want a loving, peaceful, beautiful, kind, compassionate, secure, safe world. That's what we all want. And yet, sometimes people become bullies and narcissistic and evil. That's not what they want. That's what they don't want. And so the outer self, even the outer desire, can take over. And we can only be happy when we marry the inner and the outer. Now, there are different layers of inner and outer, as I mentioned, but one of the most profound descriptions of one of the most outer layers is that we all have three things that we're using pretty much our whole life and sum us up, which is thinking, our thoughts, speaking, and doing. And so if you take this simple solution, which is if your thoughts, your speech, and your action are consonant, are similar to, are in accordance with your inner heart, not your outer heart, but your inner heart, not with your fears, but with your loves, with your truest desires, then you'll be happy. Right? Anybody, many people go, let's say, to Africa, and I'm even impressed with Christian missionaries that do a lot of good work all over the world. They really sacrifice, and they're very happy. The same person that could be in America having, I don't know, a bagel in the ballpark. I don't know if they sell bagels, but they should. So that person is happier, I don't know, in some little hut without sanitation, helping other people, because that's our nature. The inner heart and the outer thought, speech, and action have merged. And so I want to challenge you now, unfortunately, that we all are a little isolated and we have to take some time to think, is if you could use your thoughts, your speech, and your action in a way that your inner heart, your truest, kindest, most sensitive, noblest self would desire, what would you think about? What would you speak about? Or perhaps how would you speak? And what would you do? Again, what would your thoughts be? What and how would your speech be? And what would you do? And now, the most critical question that has ever been asked of any human is, and what's stopping you? And that's actually an important question, because to understand what's stopping us, it could be fear of shame, it could be something small, but until you overcome that fear, it's stopping you from fulfilling your destiny. It's stopping you from happiness, stopping you from being you. And so if you're going to listen to me, what you're going to do is not only you're going to say, what would I like my thoughts, my speech, and my action to be, but what's stopping me from not doing that? And then you have to make sure, whether it's getting advice, you're welcome to write to me. You can write to me, rabbi@kabbalahwisdom.org, or go to my website, Kabbalah Wisdom, KABBALAH wisdom.org, and if I can answer you, I'll be happy to. And the bottom line is, if you need some advice on the thing that's stopping you, deal with it. Because once you remove the barrier to being you, you are the Messiah in this planet.